A lot of people on Twitter in Australia are talking about the Four Corners show on the Opus Dei school. For those who haven't seen it, which I assume there's most people, okay, in Australia we've got 650 only Opus Dei members. That's tiny, that's minuscule, and they all seem to have gathered together in one community in Sydney, and they've got a boys' school and a girls' school. That's it. That's how much influence they have in the world. It's not in the public school system. It's not being exported to us. I never even knew about it if it wasn't for this. But nevertheless, Louise Milligan, I believe her last name is, from Four Corners, has decided to do a hit piece on it, which is pistol whipping a blind kid as far as I'm concerned. Extreme Catholics are extreme Catholics. They have the sorts of opinions that they have. But everyone on Twitter is like, we got to do something about it. I mean, what are you going to do? Men and women have babies. The babies can be kept in the care of the parent, of the state, or strangers. I choose the parents. Some parents are religious, and you know why they're religious? Same reason I'm religious, because life's friggin' meaningless without it. It's that or suicide sometimes. I considered it all, and I came to the conclusion that I wanted to believe in a God. I'm not going to fuck with anyone else's desire to do the same sort of thing. I don't want to get up in the face of every Jew, Muslim, or Christian in the country and demand that they explain and rationalize and justify. Okay, only 650 Catholics have gone way, way, way out, whichever extreme it is, and had this funny little sect. Fine. It doesn't really bother me. I feel sorry for the kids, especially the gay kids that go through there. My heart breaks for them. That's fucked. Being told that your soul is going to burn in a river of non-consuming fire forever. One reasonably inappropriate lesbian relationship occurred between like a 36-year-old and a 17-year-old. That was really bad. Good reporting on that. But I mean, like, that could have been reported just as like an inappropriate relationship without doing a hit piece on a funny little community. I don't want to go through this whole country and find little communities here and there and beat up on them. You know, like I went to school with a kid whose dad died from an appendectomy because he refused a blood transfusion because of his religion. Like, fair enough, and that's pretty weird. I don't know which religion that is, but I don't need to go and find those guys and out them and make sure that they're uncomfortable and nationally, for which Louise Milligan gets paid big bucks. The other problem I had with this, though, is there was some, what I thought was not generally accepted opinions that were actually fairly minority opinions held by what you would call feminists or the extreme liberal or something like that, just woven into this as though it was the most common, regular, normal, run-of-the-mill sort of opinions. For example, there was a time in the documentary when they were saying that the school taught the young women not to be sluts.
To talk about themselves. You know, these young girls are saying to their future selves, please don't be a slut when I grow up.
I'm sorry, is that a big problem now, is it? I have a daughter. I plan on a very horrible, awkward conversation at some point in time, bringing that up with her. And yeah, I'd have thought like not racking up 1,000 guys by your 21st birthday was something that most young women aspire to achieve. Not, I said, I knew a girl once called anything, but at 26 she'd slept with 320, I think. She wasn't happy. That's not something that most young women aspire to. Don't understand how we got to the point in time that wanting to talk about modesty and wanting to talk about not everyone in the room having a go, the sticky tape thing, is something that some girls might want to aspire to.
We were given a piece of sticky tape and asked to pass it from person to person all the way around the class. And by the time it got to the last person, the teacher asked the class, what value does this sticky tape have anymore?
To be reserved or to be considerate and discriminate about who and who doesn't get to see you naked and who you don't want to have sex with. I think this is Louise Milligan's politics, that she's just got past all the editors and everything at the taxpayer-funded ABC. Why was that in there?
Premier Perrottet is one of a family of 12 children, and his siblings attended Redfield and Tangara.
I thought it was mean-spirited to pick up on Dom Perrottet, I think his name is, the Premier of New South Wales. He didn't choose which school his parents sent him to. His parents sent him to a school when he was 5, 6 or something like that. He didn't get the choice. I don't know why you had to drag him into this. But again, I do know that Louise Milligan is anti-liberal, and that seems to be a political hit piece. Again, the editor should definitely have taken that bit out. You could have presented this as politically neutral in terms of Australian domestic politics. There have been a lot of people on Twitter that have been saying that our taxes shouldn't go to this particular school. I don't know if you know how Australian school systems works, but private, public, it doesn't matter. Everyone gets tax dollars. It was as a result of the Gonski report, which was funded by Julia Gillard and the Labor government, or at least proposed by Julia Gillard and the Labor government and supported by. And this is what they should have, is that the private schools should get tax money. Are we really going to go down a list of schools and work out which ones shouldn't have them? Surely, as a country, as an egalitarian country, every school, regardless of whether it's teaching this, that, or the other, should get the money. It's not, I don't want the government looking into the school's moralities or ethics and deciding who should and shouldn't get funding. That's for the parents to do. If there's a school that wants to teach creationism, or there's a school that wants to teach evolution, or if there's a friggin' school that wants to teach that the earth is flat, the parents can choose, very bad decision in my opinion on the last one there, to send their kids to the stupid school that says the earth is flat. And I imagine the market economics of the world will take care of itself, and when there's zero students, they get zero funding. Yes, every school should get funding. It would appear that this school at some point in time said boys masturbating is a bad thing.
College do still invite chastity speakers, like Redfield Old Boy Simon Carrington, whose website is endorsed by the current principal of Tangara and senior staff at Redfield.
I struggled with masturbation and pornography for many years. Masturbation is an intrinsically and gravely disordered action.
There's a lot of people that have that opinion. I mean, a lot of people have that opinion. That's like a whole move. That's like the whole no-fap thing. Happens to be an opinion that I have as well. By all means, do it if you want. But I mean, like, I think it's bad for guys. I don't think it makes me like some weird Opus Dei religious sex freak that just because I believe something like that everyone believes. And on that point...
Sex is too powerful an urge to be negotiated. The very notion of rational consent to powerful passions, especially when alcohol is involved, is absurd. Who was the bright spark who came up with the laughable proposal that men ask consent of women every step of the way? It's absurd to expect men to stop midstream and ask permission for the next move.
The idea that once you're well into a 15-year relationship that you have to stop every 2 minutes during sex to check that the female in question is okay. Firstly, like in a 1 hour fuck session, that's like 30 times you got to stop and say to the girl, I mean, that's not going to be good sex. 2, it's condescending. She can say something if she wants. It's patronizing, same as the second point there. But it's like, that's a really common opinion. It's a joke. There's comedy about that. That's not that weird. If this school is saying that, like, the implausibility, I don't think they touched on the ethics of it, but the implausibility of being able to stop every 2 minutes to check that the girl you're dancing with in the nightclub or kissing on a couch at a party or having sex with if she's your wife or girlfriend or something like that, or just hooking up on Tinder or something like that, that's a really, really commonplace opinion that it's weird to ask every 2 minutes if she's okay. Again, this is just Louise Milligan's own personal politics, and it is self-extreme, which is kind of the irony in all of this. She's got this extreme, I would say extreme feminist, but extreme feminist opinions about many of these things sewn into an article about extreme positions, in this particular case by the Catholics. There's 1 billion Catholics in the world, and we all end up with some amount of religion in us at the end of the day. I have no intention of going around the country and picking every weird religious group. I notice we never do Muslims, by the way. It does always seem to be Christians. That's that anti-white, anti-Western privilege thing again. It was a mess, and we're getting reasonably illiberal in this country.
We were told it was our fault for making a man lust us.
See, this is a tough, nuanced point. I think they missed it. I think what they're trying to say is just because she wore a short skirt doesn't mean yes or something, which clearly is true. But this bit where she said, like, we're in control of changing the mood of the room, or like, the things that we do inspire lust. No, clearly that's true. It's definitely the case that there are girls out there in bedrooms and things literally doing things to inspire lust. Like, am I not allowed to feel lust as a guy? If the teachers are saying it's possible to change a guy's mind by showing cleavage or something, yes, clearly that's true. And I think this is like a misandrous point that as a guy, my whole life, no matter what happens in front of me, I'm never allowed to feel lust. And if I do, it's just entirely 100% me, my disgusting, horrible male mind. I just should be deeply ashamed of myself that this lustful thought just by no one's fault but my own, came into my mind and I'm 100% accountable for it. I really don't have that opinion at all. I have religious beliefs. You have religious beliefs. You're allowed to teach them to your children. I don't think it should become the subject of a Four Corners interview, riddled with feminist politics the whole way through with it, just because we want to believe in a God and that this whole existence isn't meaningless. I'll leave it there. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe.